cue you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining the Houston Minority Development Council's lead conversations on the Paycheck Protection Program. Here in Texas, over 364,000 loans have been awarded, resulting in over 40 billion, that's billion with a B, in emergency working capital for Texas small businesses. That brings us to why we're excited about today's panelist. Mr. Winston Smith of the Business Consortium Fund will talk about the remaining funding available for MBEs and small businesses. Mr. Mark Winchester of the Small Business Administration will walk us through the ever-changing PPP loan forgiveness criteria and the process. Our goal is to help MBEs understand how to apply for loan forgiveness and avoid any mistakes along the way. Our prayer is that at the end of this webinar, you will have gained insight as to how to access the PPP loan funds through the BCF if you've not already applied, and also have a better understanding of how to apply for loan forgiveness of your existing PPP loan. So again, I welcome you to HMSDC's lead conversations on the Paycheck Protection Program, and I now present to you our president, Ms. Ingrid Robinson.
Good morning. There are hundreds of minority and small businesses who still are in the need for PPP loans. And due to a myriad of reasons, including lack of understanding of PPP and the loan process, lack of an existing relationship with a bank or financial institution that they could to count on and talk to about pursuing a PPP. And in some cases, we've heard from MBEs that there's a fear out there about taking on a loan and not getting it forgiven, creating an additional barrier or burden on their families during this time of economic downturn. So, but here's the good news. Today, NMSDC has long, I guess over the last 20 years, has a relationship with the Business Consortium Fund, which is tied to NMSDC. It's a CDFI, which means it's a nonprofit bank. And they are approved to provide PPP loans. So at the end of the day, we're going to hear from Winston, as Marchette mentioned, and I'll tell you a little bit about Winston's background. We go back a really long time, but Winston serves as the president of NMSDC's BCF. Previously, prior to joining the BCF, he served as the director of supplier diversity for Microsoft. And prior to that, he served as the director for supplier diversity at AT&T and held other positions there, including positions in network services, engineering, operations, law and government affairs, and in contingency planning. But prior to entering into the space for supplier diversity, his background is in banking. He was a bank officer for Trust Bank, which is a subsidiary of Trust Company out of Georgia, where for 3 years he called on Fortune 500 companies across Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. Winston holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Economics from Morehouse College and an MBA in Finance from Georgia State University. On the other hand, 2 days ago, the U.S. Small Business Administration posted a borrower-friendly Paycheck Protection Plan loan forgiveness application, which is implemented as part of the PPP Flexibility Act of 2020. In addition, to revising the full forgiveness application that seemed kind of daunting to some entrepreneurs who had already received the PPP loan, SBA published a new easy version of the forgiveness application that applies to borrowers that meet certain criteria. So we'll hear more from that from Mark. Mark Winchester is the Deputy District Director for the Houston District Office of our SBA. And he's been with the agency for 10 years. As Deputy District Director, Mark's duties included assisting the District Director in overseeing the SBA's programs and services in the 32 county service area for our Houston District Office. Last year, Mark was included over $1 billion in loan guarantees and surety for small businesses across the district. In 2015, Mark received an Ike Award established by President Dwight Eisenhower in 1957. The President Eisenhower, recognized distinguished federal civilian service members this award was created to allow him to recognize those civilian officers or employees of the federal government that had made contributions, quote, that are so outstanding that the officer or employee is deserving of greater public recognition than that which can be accorded by the head of a department or agency for which he is employed. So Mark is truly a supporter of small businesses and minority business development. He is a 3-time recipient of the Lower Rio Grande Valley District Office Council of the Year Award and a 2-time recipient of the SBDC State Star Award and Congressional Letters of Recognition. So Mark holds a BS and an MBA from the University of Connecticut, and his expertise is in finance and information technology. So I want to welcome both of our panelists. Thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to hearing from you, Winston, to understand how we can help MBEs to access PPP if they haven't already. And Mark, we look forward to hearing from you about the progress and to demystify some of the rumors and information that's been out there about the PPP loan forgiveness program. So welcome. So at this time, we'll start with Winston. And Winston, if you can talk to us about the BCF NMSDC's relationship and PPP loans that are still available through BCF.
Will do. Thank you so much, Ingrid. And good morning, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about what we're doing at BCF and the opportunities for a PPP loan. Yes, the BCF is receiving and processing PPP applications. As we know, the initial $350 billion of PPP funds was quickly exhausted. Then in April, an additional $310 billion was added to the program. And today there remains more than $130 billion available for PPP loans. BCF is able to receive and process PPP applications as a result of the leadership of Adrian Trimble, President and CEO of NMSDC. Adrian connected with Mr. David Stewart, the founder and chair of Worldwide Technology, and an NMSDC Corporate Plus certified MBE. Mr. Stewart then connected Adrian with Midwest Bank Center, which is based in St. Louis, Missouri, and together they engaged BCF. BCF processes the applications according to the SBA requirements, and Midwest Bank Center funds the approved applications. Let me just say, as part of this, BCF receives an agency fee from SBA. So if you need a PPP loan, then please go to our secure website, bcfcapital/PPP-disclosure, or just go to the BCF website, BCF Capital website, and you will see PPP in the top ribbon. You will land on a page. After you go to that site, you will land on a page that looks like this. At the bottom of the page, you can access a link that takes you to our resource library. Now, when you click on, yes, I'm interested in PPP, or let's get started, then you will come to a page where you can provide some preliminary contact information. Once you click on submit, you will receive an email from Applied Business Software. Please check your junk and spam folders for an email from Applied Business Software. There will be 4 attachments to that email. The borrower application, which is the one that was revised by SBA as of June 12th. It is a fillable PDF. The loan calculator spreadsheet, a PDF on how to calculate loan amounts, and a spreadsheet regarding entity document requirements that lists the entity documents that are required based on your entity type. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a sec. There will be an opportunity as you scroll down and click on portal. There will be an opportunity to set up your username and password. With that in place, you will have an online folder to which you can upload completed documents. As an alternative to all of that, you can email completed documents to ppp@bcfcapital.com. Let me spend just a few minutes and talk about the documents that you will need to complete. The PPP borrower application form. This form has to have wet signatures, and wet initials, which really means that you've got to download the form, fill in, well, you can fill in everything that you can fill in with your computer online, but for your signature and for your initials, you need to download the form and physically write your initials and physically write your signature. Otherwise, the application will be returned so that you can provide physically written initials and a signature. Please remember to initial your responses to questions 5 and 6. I suggest that you use a blue ink pen to initial and apply your signature. The PPP Loan Calculator is a spreadsheet, and there's reference to supporting documentations or where to find the supporting numbers among various kinds of documents. You will see a reference to 941s and 940s. Some of you will not have those because some of you do not have payroll services. Whatever payroll register you have is what is needed. We need the loan calculator as part of your application, and we need your payroll register, documentation of your payroll. Your articles of organization will need to be completed. Some of you will have articles of organization, some will have certificates of formation, depending upon your entity type. Because of bank secrecy laws, we need 2 forms of ID, an official photo ID, such as your driver's license or passport, and any other second form of ID, such as a credit card or a debit card. Next slide. We will need to see your payroll register. Some of you will be able to provide a Schedule C. Please refer to the PDF on how to calculate loan amounts. It tells you where you can go to get the documentation that you need to provide the numbers to support your payroll information. We have here that we need your tax return. We do not need a complete copy of your tax return. For some of you, your Schedule C will be a part of your tax return. You can either break it out or just submit the entire thing. For some of you, you will have health care benefits as part of your tax returns, but any documentation where you as the company paid for health care benefits for your employees, then those payments can be included as part of your payroll costs. And we mentioned partnership agreements. Some will have partnership agreements. Obviously, if you are a single member LLC or a sole proprietorship, then you will not have a partnership agreement. In that case, just include a blank sheet of paper, put partnership agreements at the top, and just write not applicable. In some cases, some of you may already have your EIDL loan, your economic injury disaster loan. You may want to, since that loan carries a 2 or 3% interest rate, you may want to refinance that loan into your PPP loan, which will carry a 1% interest rate. Remember, the EIDL loan is a 30-year term. The PPP loan that is extended after June 5th is a 5-year term. So you can make a decision about that. But if you decide to include your EIDL loan in your PPP loan, then we will need a copy of the EIDL loan agreement. We need a copy of your certificate of good standing with your Secretary of State. In some states, you can just find that online and provide a screenshot. In some states, you cannot. But we do need how you are listed with the Secretary of State. Remember, the way you're listed on file with the Secretary of State is exactly the name that you need to include on the application. We will need your bank statements for February 2020. We need your Form 941 and Form 940. The 941 is quarterly, the 940 is annual. And we need the 941 for each quarter of 2019, as well as the first quarter of 2020. The first quarter of 2020, along with your bank statements for February, demonstrate that you were in business as of February 15, 2020. And of course, if you are an HMSDC certified MBE, then we need a copy of your certification. I just want to close out by emphasizing the deadline for having a loan approval number from SBA is June 30th. So we are asking you to get your application with all of your documentation into BCF by June 26. We will work the weekend to communicate with you if we need more documentation and to get everything submitted to SBA. So let's not wait until June 26. Please, within the next 24 to 48 hours, if you need a PPP loan, please submit your application. Go to our website, download what you need to download, and let's get started today. Thank you so much.
Ms. Robinson?
I'm sorry, I had my phone on mute. So next we will hear from Mark Winchester. And so Mark, we are excited that there is an easier way to apply for PPP loan forgiveness. And we can't wait for you to tell us how to do that and who qualifies for that. So I will turn it over to you to talk to us about PPP forgiveness.
Ingrid, thank you so much to you and Houston Minority Supplier Development Council. And I must say, thank you for the nice introduction. I really do appreciate the way you reviewed my bio. That was very, very gracious. So thank you so much. What I'd like to do at this time, Ingrid, is share my screen. So I'm going to click on share here. And I'm going to, per Clifton's instructions, I'm going to select desktop. And then I'm going to pull up a document here. First, what I wanted to review is the new guidance, and I was sharing this with Ingrid, with Constance. Ingrid, it could not have been, this invite to speak today could not have been more timely. And so thank you so much. So what I wanted to review first, and hopefully you can see this on your screen, I wanted to read this news release from SBA. And
Mark, we're only seeing your desktop right now. So
okay.
I see someone running on a beach where I wish I was.
Okay, so let's do this. Let me go back here. Let me go stop sharing.
I think.
And then let me click share again. And let me go to this document here. So now can you see the document?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So what I'm reviewing here is the SBA news release from SBA and Treasury announcing the new easy and revised full forgiveness application for the Paycheck Protection Program. Washington, this was as of 2 days ago. Today, the United States Small Business Administration, in consultation with the Department of Treasury, posted a revised borrower-friendly Paycheck Protection Program loan forgiveness application implementing the PPP Flexibility Act of 2020, signed into law by President Trump on June 5th, 2020. In addition to the revising the full forgiveness application, SBA also published a new EZ version of the forgiveness application that applies to borrowers. And I wanted to share this with you and with your members. A couple of things. One, and let me back up for a second. There are 2 loan programs from SBA in response to COVID-19. The first one is the Paycheck Protection Program. This is a loan guarantee program, and it's a loan guarantee program that is administered by your local lender. Just like Winston shared, the CEO of BCF Capital, you would have to go to a lender such as BCF Capital in order to apply for the PPP loan. The other type of loan, and I'm going to talk about it in a second, is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is a direct loan from SBA. Now, what we're talking about now is the loan forgiveness with the PPP, with the Paycheck Protection Program. Not only do you have the loan, but you have loan forgiveness. And so what we're talking about is the opportunity for loan forgiveness with the PPP. And this announcement that came out on Wednesday indicates that and I'll share this, Ingrid, with you and your audience and your members. There are over 4.5 million approved PPP loans, including the loans that BCF Capital submitted and got approved as well. And so now a majority, if not all of those 4.5 million PPP borrowers, if they want to maximize loan forgiveness, they're going to have to submit an application for the loan forgiveness. And the significance of this is that the SBA and Treasury has reduced the paperwork in order to submit that loan forgiveness. And the first form is the EZ form. And so if Ingrid, if your members are self-employed and have no employees, they can submit the EZ application. And for, in addition to those with the EZ application, there's also the revised full forgiveness application. Now, let's say you are not self-employed and you don't have any employees. Let's say, well, let me back up. Let's say if you're not self-employed or you do have employees, you can also achieve or reach the ability to apply utilizing the EZ form if your business did not reduce the salary or wages of their employees by more than 25% and did not reduce the number of hours of their employees, or experienced reduction in business activity as a result of the health directives related to COVID-19 and did not reduce the salary or wages of their employees by more than 25%. And let me continue on with this. The easy application requires fewer calculations, less documentation for eligible borrowers. Details regarding the applicabilities of these provisions are available in the instructions to the new easy application form. Both applications give borrowers the option of using the original 8-week covered period if their loan was made before June 5th, 2020, and extended for a 24-week covered period. These changes will result in a more efficient process and make it easier for businesses to realize full forgiveness of their PPP loan. Next, what I wanted to do, Ingrid, and I'm going to have to move my mouse here. There we go. I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can share about economic injury disaster loan. And let's see if this works. Do you see the SBA economic injury disaster loan announcement?
Yes.
Excellent. So Ingrid, the other item that I wanted to share, or the next item that I wanted to share to your members, this is really important, and it gets back to what Winston shared, deadlines coming up, and want to let you know that the economic injury disaster loan and advance program was reopened to all eligible small businesses and nonprofits impacted by COVID-19 pandemic. And just give me 1 second here. To further meet the needs of the United States small businesses and nonprofits, United States Small Business Administration reopened the economic injury disaster loan EIDL and EIDL advance to all eligible applicants experiencing economic impact due to COVID-19. This is a quote. Our administrator is Ms. Jovita Carranza, and I quote, "The SBA is strongly committed to working around the clock, providing dedicated emergency assistance to small businesses and nonprofits that are facing economic disruption due to COVID-19. With the reopening of EIDL and EIDL Advance application portal to all new applicants, additional small businesses and nonprofits will be able to receive these long-term, low-interest loans and emergency grants, reducing the economic impact for their businesses, employees, and communities they support." Now, what I wanted to do next, Ingrid, is show you the actual website. And give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing. Clifton had shared about sharing the desktop, but for whatever reason, it wasn't showing the actual document. So give me 1 second. Here we go. Stop sharing. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to share again, and hopefully this works. Do you now see the website, Ingrid?
Yes, disaster assistance.
Excellent. So for your members, and then let me back up. The economic injury disaster loan, the direct loan from SBA Office of Disaster Assistance, that was made available, I would say, by March 18th. Ingrid, I do need to share this with your members. There were certain, and you know what? We're just waiting for the page to load up, and let me increase the zoom in here. Now, this page here is the economic injury disaster loan assistance. This is the website, the landing page for the economic injury disaster loan. But what I wanted to point out was on March 18th, these entities were allowed to apply for the economic injury loan. They included small businesses, and you needed to be a small business that meet the SBA size standard with not more than 500 employees, and that you were impacted by COVID-19. It also includes agricultural enterprises. It includes sole proprietorships with or without employees, independent contractors, cooperatives. I call them ESOPs, but they're also known as employee stock ownership plans, tribal concerns, applicants, businesses including agricultural cooperatives, aquacultural enterprise, nursery, producer cooperatives. And, you know, Ingrid, I wanted to emphasize this too, that in addition to small businesses, nonprofits, including 501c, D, and E, are eligible to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. Also, faith-based organizations, and after the second round of appropriations, ranchers and farmers can continue. For those that haven't applied, they too can also apply for the economic injury disaster loan. So I just want to emphasize that the EIDL has been reopened for those who were originally eligible to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. And I want to emphasize you needed to be an entity in business prior to January 31st, and that you meet one of these categories. And let me go back. And I want to go back to this page here. So Ingrid, your members, if they want to apply for the economic injury disaster loan, they'll need to go to www.sba.gov and just type in disaster. And when they type in disaster, click on apply for assistance. And when they click on apply for assistance, then they want to click on this link right here that says eligible small businesses and agricultural businesses may apply for the loan advantage. Now, you know, I do like what I'm reading right here, and I do want to bring it to your attention. In addition to the EIDL loan, I don't know if you can see this, Ingrid, but in addition to the loan itself, there is also the EIDL advance. The EIDL advance is a grant according to the CARES Act. According to the when the CARES Act was first established, the CARES Act indicates that the EIDL advance is a grant, and it's a grant based on the calculation of $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. Give me 1 second here. So the EIDL advance, the up to $10,000 in the grant, that is in addition to the EIDL loan. And I want to let your members know, Ingrid, that to apply for the EIDL advance, they will want to, when they're applying for the EIDL loan, they'll want to indicate that they would like to apply for the EIDL advance as well. Now I'm going to go back to the landing page. So once again, this is the landing page for the disaster loan assistance for the economic injury disaster loan and the EIDL advance. And I just wanted to point out, Ingrid, there are disclosures, business information, business owner information, and additional information and summary. And the thing that I would share, Ingrid, is that they need to be precise. And what I mean by that is they'll need to complete everything included in the disaster loan assistance online application. And they will need to not only complete everything, but they need to be accurate. And I'll share why. The reason for this is we've had clients that didn't include the right checking account. So they, if to receive the EIDL loan in advance, you need to put the routing number and checking account that you want to receive the EIDL loan and the EIDL advance. If you don't put the right checking account, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to receive it, and it's going to make things very difficult. Also, one of the requirements of when you are, you'll receive a notification. It's called a phase 2 notification to confirm your loan amount. And it's going to ask you to create a portal so that you can sign the closing documents. Well, if you have not put the correct email address for your point of contact for your EIDL loan and EIDL advance, guess what? You won't receive that original email indicating that you need to create a portal for your EIDL loan. So I can't emphasize enough to you regarding this disaster loan assistance application to be both detailed and accurate in this information. The last thing that I'd like to share, Ingrid, regarding the EIDL, I would just share with your members that $90 billion have been approved. And hopefully I can pull this up, Ingrid. So we are at the SBA.gov website. You'll want to scroll to the very bottom. And Ingrid, how am I doing on time?
You're doing pretty good. I think we have about 10 more minutes.
Okay, thank you, Ingrid. So I wanted to share this with you, Ingrid, and also to your members that they can access this information. Scroll down to the bottom, click on FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. When you click on Freedom of Information Act, click on FOIA resources. When you click on FOIA resources, give me 1 second. I'm going to minimize so you can view better, have a better view of the screen. Give me 1 second. I'm at 250%. I'm going to reduce that to about 125%. So now you should see multiple links here. This is reports on both PPP and EIDL. And what I want to do is pull up the Paycheck Protection. Well, let me do the EIDL first since we've been on EIDL. EIDL. This is the report on the economic injury disaster loan as of last Friday, June 12th. And let me increase this a little bit. It's at 75%. I'm at 110. You can see here that for the economic injury disaster loan as of June 12th, 1,332,955 EIDL loans have been approved. This is what I wanted to show you: 90,928,747,622 in loans approved. And Ingrid, I'll share this with you and your members. You know, who can't forget Harvey? I want to let you know, in disaster loans for Hurricane Harvey for Houston, that was $1.3 billion. And you can see here, and I'm going to increase it just a little bit more. What do you see for COVID-19 for the entire country for economic injury disaster loan? $90 billion. So that, you know, to give you the magnitude of the impact to small businesses, that would be like 90 Hurricane Harveys all at the same time that ODA has approved since March 18th. 90 billion in Hurricane Harveys, totaling 1.33 million loans approved. And if you scroll down, you will see Texas. And Ingrid, I wasn't sure if you asked this, it may have been, I'm not sure, but someone was inquiring, what were the results of economic injury disaster loan for Houston? Right now, what we have reported is statewide, and you can see for Texas, 112,510 loans. Excuse me one second.
That was me, Mark. I'm always asking the question that's not available, so our information is not available.
Well, now, Ingrid, now you have this at your fingertips. You can go to SBA.gov, Freedom of Information Act, go to FOIA resources, and you can see the latest numbers in both EIDL, PPP, and EIDL Advance. And I appreciate that. Ingrid, I'm the same way. I'm a facts kind of guy, and so you can see 112,510 approved loans totaling 7.6 billion in Texas for economic injury, and you can see there how Texas fared compared to other states. South Dakota. So we had 112,000. South Dakota had 3,600. If we really wanted to benchmark it, New York, the state of New York, 97,240 EIDL applications totaling 7 billion. So that's a nice comparison between Texas and New York. Give me 1 second. I did want to, Ingrid, show the PPP, and Winston did a great job, and I'm so excited about BCF Capital and the work that they're doing with PPP loans. I just wanted to share this total here. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to increase it. You can see the latest, the report as of last Friday, and it gets back to, Ingrid, what I was sharing, 4,576,388 approved Paycheck Protection Program loans, and BCF Capital was a part of that. And you can see there 512,271,684,146, and those are net dollars. What that is SBA has reporting for gross dollars. Those are original dollars approved for a program. Net dollars mean there could have been PPP loans that were returned, and so what is the net? Gross returned. What is the the net dollars? There it is, 512 billion. And you can see the lender count. BCF Capital was part of 5,457 lenders that provided PPP loans to PPP borrowers. And Winston was sharing about dollars available. First round of appropriations was 349 billion. Second round was 310 billion. And I want to make sure I get this correct. That first round was 349 billion plus 310 billion makes 659 billion. You subtract 512 billion from 659 billion, and you get about $147 billion as of that's as of last Friday, available for PPP. And Winston is correct. The deadline for PPP to get the note authorization is June 30th. And I'll share this, Ingrid, with your audience, your members and yourself. The deadline not only applies to PPP, but all of SBA's guarantees, including 7A, 504, Express. The deadline to get the note authorization is June 30th. Want to Ingrid's question about Texas, just want to point out, and hopefully you can see this. In Texas, 364,506 PPP loans approved, totaling 40 billion $40,314,507,983 in PPP loans. And let's see, how much time do we have, Ingrid? Is it time for Q&A?
You are finishing just on time. I was just about to have to tell you to wrap up, so we are good.
Ingrid, if we had time, I was going to go over the easy form, but I'd rather allow time for Q&A. And so
I'm sure if we have a little time left over, Constance will
yes, ma'am.
let you do that if we have a couple minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Constance, do we have any questions for Mark?
Absolutely, and happy Friday, everybody. So we have several questions out there for both panelists. So we will go ahead and get started. So the first question is for you, Winston. Do you have to be a certified MBE in the HMSDC network in order to apply for the PPP loan?
No, you do not. All applicants are welcomed.
And how long is the processing time through BCF?
Usually, the most time is for the applicant to pull the documentation together. But an application that is fully, that is complete with all the required documentation can be processed within hours and sent over for funding within hours.
Oh, that's great. Mark, will all PPP loans be forgiven after completing the Easy Loan Forgiveness application?
Boy, that's a great question. So, Constance, to your question or to your point, a couple of things. One, the PPP borrower, what you'll want to do is obtain your funds. Obviously, you're going to have a covered period, and that covered period is going to be the date of full disbursement. And if you were a PPP borrower prior to June 5th, then you have the election of either an 8-week period or letting your PPP lender know that you're electing for the 24-week period. And so, and I'll share this with you. During that covered period, you have payroll cost and non-payroll cost. And with the PPP flexibility, that ratio of payroll and non-payroll was reduced to a 60-40 ratio. And you will want to achieve maximum loan forgiveness with, at a minimum, achieving that 60-40 ratio. So, Constance, after that cover period, incurring both paid and incurring those costs during that covered period, you will then want to let your PPP lender know, I would like to submit my application and submit the application of loan forgiveness. And once you submit that application of loan forgiveness to your PPP lender, the lender then has up to 60 days to make a decision regarding that application. And Winston, if you'd like to provide any additional comment regarding that, but Constance, that's the process.
Okay, great. Still with you, Mark. Since the EIDL loan program has just reopened, what is the process that MBEs would go through to get the EIDL loan without double dipping?
Wow. These are really good questions, Constance. And so, members, you need to be aware. There's the direct loan, EIDL loan, and the EIDL advance, and you have the Paycheck Protection program. If you, let's say you already have you've applied and you have received the PPP funds, and then you apply for the EIDL loan, and really where it impacts you is whether or not you also applied for the EIDL advance. And so if you applied and received the EIDL advance, you need to let, in this case, let's say you do, the scenario I believe I gave is that you already have the PPP loan, but let's say you already have the PPP loan with BCF Capital. And then you apply for the EIDL, you get the EIDL advance, you will need to let Winston know and let BCF Capital know that you applied and received the EIDL advance. And then BCF Capital, when you apply for that loan forgiveness and achieve loan forgiveness, they're going to deduct that EIDL advance from the loan forgiveness amount portion of the PPP loan. So that's the significance, Constance, is that the communication. I know, I need to let Winston chime in. Winston, do you have any additional comment on that?
No, I think your responses have been absolutely right on, but you were just about to talk about communications.
Yes, and I wanted to let you share. Go ahead.
And I just want to emphasize the importance of everyone communicating with your banker, keeping your banker informed about where your business is and where you are with your PPP loan, where you are with your EIDL loan if you have one. I know that we are practicing physical distancing, but email still works, phone calls still work. Stay in touch, please, please. During this time of economic distress, frequent communications with your banker are extremely important. So stay in touch with your banker, please.
The next question again for you, Mark. What is the time from the moment you apply for loan forgiveness until you get approved?
Wow. That's an excellent question. I shared a moment ago, the key, and Winston, I want you to also give feedback on this, but one of the keys is, and I mentioned a moment ago, you really want to make sure that you have established your covered period, that you have strategically, and I'll use the word strategically, because if you were a PPP borrower prior to June 5th, it was 8 weeks. Now with the PPP flexibility, you have 24 weeks. So I really, getting back to Winston's point, you want to communicate with your lender and strategically make the decision, do I want to just utilize the 8-week period, maximize loan forgiveness and expend the funds that way, or do I have some funds left over? And if I have funds left over, do I strategically want to extend that 24-week period and request that from the PPP lender and to maximize those additional funds? So to your point, Constance, you want to strategically, as a business owner, make the decision on whether to elect the 8-week or whether you have the 24-week and maximize the expenditure of the funds to maximize loan forgiveness, and then submit the loan forgiveness application. And Constance, you make a good point. If they fall into that category, that announcement that came out Wednesday, that you're a sole proprietor with no employees, or you fall into one of those two other categories, you'll want to submit the EZ loan forgiveness form to the lender. And if it's with BCF Capital, you want to submit that EZ form to them. And then, Constance, to your question, BCF has up to 60 days to go through that application. So, I guess I could have just said 60 days, but that's the maximum time. Winston, did you want to provide any additional comment?
I would just encourage everyone to realize that these are available funds. This is like money that is available to you, and it needs to be managed extremely well. As Mark said, there are ways to strategize on this funding. So Now that the loan forgiveness application is available and the instructions are available, those of you who have a PPP loan, go ahead and access those instructions and begin organizing your documentation so that when you're ready to apply for forgiveness, you have a complete package ready, and the package can be processed rather immediately. And as you apply, since you are organizing your documentation, then you can strategize on how to use the remaining funds that have not been spent.
So if I applied before June 5th and got the 8 weeks, can I expand it to 24 weeks? And if so, how?
A borrower can select either the 8-week period or the 24-week period.
So if I've already selected 8 weeks, I can't go back and select 24 weeks?
According to the guidance that I've read, Mark may have a different answer, but according to the guidance I've read, if you select 8 weeks, then you are stuck with 8 weeks. Is that as you understand it, Mark?
You know, Winston, and that's a very good point. My understanding, Constance, is, and I like to be precise. So my understanding is as long as that 8 week, and I want to be specific here, if you are a PPP borrower and you're a PPP borrower prior to June 5th, and you are in an 8-week period that has not expired, if you're in an 8-week period that has not expired, then you can contact your PPP lender and request that it be extended for 24 weeks. So the guidance, I think the operative term there is that your PPP covered period has not expired. And to Winston's point, we have not received additional guidance for that situation where the 8-week period has expired. Can you then extend after 24 weeks? We have not received additional guidance regarding that. What I'm aware of is as long as that 8-week period has not expired, you can contact your PPP lender and then request that if it's strategically beneficial for you to extend to that 24-week period.
So we are getting a lot of questions in, and we have come up on our time. So I still have 4 questions, burning questions that people are asking in the Q&A, and several more that I have not had a chance to come to. But I do want to be great stewards of your time and want to thank you for participating on our panel today. I just would like to give each of you an opportunity to wrap up. Any last comments that you would like to share with our audience? Winston?
Sure. Please feel free to reach out to us at info@bcfcapital.com or ppp@bcfcapital.com, and we will be happy to answer any questions and help guide you through the application process.
Thank you, Winston. Mark?
Yes, ma'am. One thing that I didn't mention prior, Constance, is please utilize the SBA resource partners. They're available to you. You can go to www.sba.gov/local assistance, and the SBDC, the Gulf Coast Small Business Development Center, the SCORE Chapter 37. And, you know, I was just talking with Ingrid right before this program came on. You have the WBEA, Women's Business Enterprise Alliance Women's Business Center, and the program manager, Shirley Brooks. And all 3 of these partners can provide virtual one-on-one counseling regarding EIDL and PPP. The other thing, Constance, one more thing, I made a note of it. I think you mentioned to me about double dipping, and I don't know if I truly addressed that question, if you get both idle and PPP, Constance makes a good point. Don't double dip. Make sure to use the idle funds for operating expenses, current debt, and debt because of expenses incurred because of COVID-19. And for PPP, make sure you use those funds separately for separate expenses, other expenses that you did not utilize the idle funds for. So no double dipping. Use the PPP for specific expenses that you're not spending utilizing the idle funds. And that's my last comment. And Constance, Ingrid, Winston, everyone part of this event, thank you so much.
Thank you. And gentlemen, thank you so much for, again, sharing this information, this real-time information with our audience. I will ask, since we have so many questions, I will send those to the both of you. And if you wouldn't mind, please responding to them, and I will send them out to the attendees so that they are aware of the questions that they're asked, that they actually get responses to them. Is that fair?
Excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. And so on the screen, you see 2 upcoming activities that HMSDC will be hosting. We have our first virtual mixer, which will be held on June 30th from 4 to 6. I encourage you to register and be present. It will have some exciting and fun times at our virtual mixer. And then our next lead conversation is July 1st. It's with supplier diversity professionals talking about what's next. So how did COVID actually change the interactions of what we do with supplier diversity, and how will that impact your building relationships and having access to those individuals? So registration is open. I look forward for you registering, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.